had the opportunity to be speaking to some very dear old friends of mine, and in the course of it, we were considering what would be the best approach for today, taking into account where everyone is in their awareness, how we all have similarities, and yet we haven't lost our individuality. We're still recognizable. I can look at you and see you're still you, vice versa. But this consideration was something that I found myself sitting down, talking to them, and listening to what they had to say, and considering the number of years that I've had the opportunity to be involved in spiritual work. Some of it was pretty rough. But, some spiritual work is pretty rough. There's no doubt about it. Some of it was pretty smooth. Some of it was downright ecstatic. But a lot of it was just work. And the reason is because there have been a number of us who, for the last several decades, have been putting in time and effort into actually upgrading ourselves. And the reason we have chosen to do so is personal, but the personalness of it may have also morphed into a deeper realization or a connecting realization that whatever we do to improve ourselves also affects others. Now, when I was a young person, I fully admit that I didn't have too much interest in what anybody else was doing, just as long as it didn't interfere with what I was doing. But what I was doing caused everyone else to be doing something that interfered with what I was doing. And what I'm really talking about here is perspective. You see, I have found that my perspective has undergone one overhaul right after another, to the point to where now I have a genuine interest in the well-being of others, not everyone, but those who have a receptivity to what I feel is flowing through my life and what I feel has helped me, and what I also witness positively affects others when they take it and begin to apply it themselves. See, and this is a really big key here. I mean, I think all of us can agree on what we want. And that is, we want the world to be in a better place. We want more peace, more harmony. We want to find that the technology that we already have, I mean, it's already available. It isn't like we're waiting for it to happen. We have the technology and the know-how, the savvy to feed everyone, to house everyone, to really have this world be a place where we feel good about being here. There's just one little obstacle to overcome, you see, and that is what we have allowed to have happen. We have allowed an elite few to control and manipulate the many. Those who have put in time and effort to ready themselves, prepare themselves, have also found that as they have gone along, more and more have come into this general awakening recognition. And that is, when we grow, when we do things for ourselves, we then find that the law of attraction, because it always works on whatever we're generating, attracts us to others who are likewise involved in it. Look at us here today. If someone had told me when I was 20 years old that I would be standing up here now and joyously, wonderfully connecting with others that I have developed so much with over so many years, I would have said, no way, can't happen. Because you see, the way I was living back then, I was moving myself closer to an early death than where I am now. So you can, from what you're hearing, I want you to be able to perhaps hear between the words and hear that if it can happen to me, it can, by God, happen to you. You see, we all come here with a plan. I don't care how you don't recognize it or possibly do not acknowledge it. It still is planned that when you get over there, you've lived this one out, you'll see how well you came to matching your plan. Well, hear these words now because they're designed to stir you to recognize your plan and to also hear that this message is coming across to stimulate you in our collective awakening. Awakening means different things to different people. Sometimes when I've had a really rough night, awakening doesn't sound too inviting. I think we've all been there. We know that. But when you begin to make a shift in yourself and you start experimenting with raising your rate of vibration and you start getting the manifestations of those efforts, it starts dawning upon you that the universe has always worked this way. And the reason why you were getting the junk you were getting before was because of the junk vibrationally you were generating before. It isn't that the universe chooses to punish or reward. It simply gives us what we give. So in this awakening, it happens in such a fine way that we're able to feel ourselves drawn into those things that bring us genuine happiness. And it may require another essential ingredient, and that's courage to do the things that you have been too afraid to do so that you can actually be happy. I have heard so many people say, oh, if I could only be like you, your life is so perfect, it's so easy. Nice try, but really lousy perception there. The fact of the matter is, when you finally get to the place of having the courage to get out of your safety zone, you're going to then start entering into new territory that has all kinds of positive potential. But you see, you have to leave your safety zone. You have to be willing to face the demons, the dragons. You have to be willing to face yourself. You have to be willing to face the possibility of failure. You have to be willing to face the possibility of others' rejection. And you have to say in yourself, how much do I really want to do this? How much am I really willing to do this? When I first met Sarah, where she was and where I was at the time was a match for our new beginnings. Because she was finishing up a segment in her life, and so was I. Little did we know what we were going to encounter with this new opportunity. And also, I say it as a frame of reference, we've changed a lot since then. We're not the same people we were. And I say this to you. If you see that you have made changes, rejoice in it. This is part of your awakening. This is part of your growing. This is part of you actually developing yourself so that when you step out of 3D, you'll be able to leave that 3D identity behind and you'll begin to open yourself up and try out the new that's being given to you. You see, life always provides for you opportunities in accordance to whatever it is that you have that you're radiating from within you out. Yeah, yeah, I like to use my hands. I do. Okay, thank you for that. So where was I? Okay, I'll just go back to my friends. You see, I've always had invisible friends. When I was a kid, I had invisible playmates. As I grew up, then I started doing things that kind of took me away from my invisible companions. But then, lo and behold, I found myself getting right back with them, but in a different way. And they began to teach me, they began to train me, they began to tutor me, they began to instruct me. They began to work with me in my willingness to listen and follow. And what I'm saying to you right now is a really important factor of this. And that is, you have to be willing to listen and follow. This is internal guidance system that I'm talking about. Because that's the way your forces, that's the way guides are going to work with you. They aren't going to always try to find something out there to get your attention, although sometimes that will have to be what they use, because that's the only way to get your attention, because otherwise you're saying, oh, that thought, I don't know where that came from. So it's to help you to get to a place of, in your awakening, finding that you also start developing an inner integrity. Now, my integrity has been all over the place at times in my life. But I will say this, that so far as working with Spirit, I have always said yes to them the very best that I possibly could. And consequently, I feel like I have a stronger bond with them, and I have a trust with them and for them, that at this point in my life is pretty substantial. It's helped me help myself when I was my own worst enemy. It's helped me help myself when my other mentors have come and gone. I've even had them die on me. Isn't that such a terrible thing? You just have your mentor up and croak, for God's sakes. What kind of story is that? It's a continuing story, and it is because everything here on this earth plane is only meant to be a temporary experience. There's a continuum with it, but it's important enough for us to look, and with this message today, to get a feeling that underneath everything that you are doing, every choice that you are making, there is an abiding intelligence called Source, called Life, called God, whatever name you wish to name it, that is fully aware of you and your life, of what you are doing and what you are going to get. It also has a full embracing acceptance of you, even if you don't have it for yourself. And it also has everything you possibly need for any choice that you could ever make. I think that's one of the reasons why we call it Source. You know? It kind of takes care of everything. It takes care of all the stuff that we think we know, and it takes care of all the things that we don't know. And right now, just as a little bit of sharing information from one growing, awakening spirit to another, don't put too much stock in what you think you know, because it won't be too long before something will come along and blow that all to hell. And that's all right, you see. It isn't about trying to figure it out before it happens. It really is about getting yourself to a place of trusting yourself and trusting your life enough that you're willing to go with the flow. You just get yourself out there and you say to life, this is who I am, this is what I want, show me. I will do the best that I can. So, this finally comes to a place where your thoughts begin to lose their significance as another part of you begins to ramp up. And it's your heart. Because your heart has an awareness that is vastly superior to any head awareness you could ever have. And once you start tuning into your heart, then you start finding that you, with your heart, begin to live life from a very different premise. Now, this last little piece here is probably the bigger piece that all of us are going to explore and discover, and that is heart. I really feel that for humanity to actually experience what we're saying, we all know we want, it's going to happen one person at a time, one heart at a time. And as that occurs, then these other things that we've heard about, the hundredth monkey, reaching a critical mass, that we are definitely moving with that kind of energy, and we are definitely moving in that direction. So this is to stir you and encourage you, and also at the same time help you to have, maybe a little more sense of ease that you can do it. And the reason that you can do it is because you are doing it. If you can get your head out of the way, you can probably, through heart awareness, see much more clearly just what it is that you are in the process of awakening. You are in the process of awakening. So when you walk away from here and you start connecting and associating with others who don't necessarily have this caliber of awareness with regard to life, don't be dismayed. Think back about 15 minutes ago, and that's where you were. I know. If you find that insulting, then just look at the phrase that I used, time. Our concept of time, all you have to do is get into a really deep meditative state, and you'll discover how time shifts radically. And if you can't get there through meditation, try something else. The object is to help yourself change your perception so you realize it is a possibility with so many other wonderful benefits. So, we are awakening. Thank you very much. For more information about the Metaphysical Church of Enlightenment or the Rodin Foundation, please go to our website at www.rodin.org. If you have been inspired by the revelations shared in these podcasts, please donate to the Rodin Foundation's ongoing efforts to help others help themselves at www.rodin.org/donate.